There we go. I do believe we are live. So I'll say, indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. It's a dear pleasure having you here again on another conscious evolution. Another opportunity for us to consider just how lucky we are. Might not always feel that way, especially if we look at what's happening in the world. If we had to compare ourselves to how other peoples are living in this world. But we also might come to the same conclusion of how lucky we are if we compare ourselves to how other people are living in this world. We really do have a lot to feel grateful for. And I want to talk specifically about the ways in which we're lucky, the ways in which we, in comparison to the people that have been before, in comparison to the ways people have lived, we are very lucky. Very, very lucky indeed to have people in our lives, for example. That was technically what inspired today's stream topic as well. This willingness to acknowledge and almost come to the conclusion that we are very lucky as we were talking to the ones we love. I like het niet allemaal vastgehouden wordt, nee. Ja, je kon me niet gewoon afgehakt hebt. Want dan heeft hij gezegd, er staat ik al bij boek. He keeps chewing things. Yeah, he's at that size now where he's not a puppy anymore, but he's not grown yet. He's not yet. Oh. Teenager. All right, let's see if we can add some nuance. Today, we are talking about this concept of being lucky. We want to expand our minds as take this idea of luckiness and compare ourselves as a modern human being to the royalty of old, the things that they were grateful for, the things they were coveting back in the day, and how many of those things we now take for granted in our day to day. Please give us some context to remind us and to give us the perspective we need to really feel very lucky, no matter where we are on earth right now at this time, comparatively to those who have came before. We are the lucky ones. Let's explore. Let's see which model I'm using. You know what? I'll use one of the older ones. I think they're more energy efficient. That was quick. You are luckier than a king. This thing is just giving me something to read. I mean, it's doing what I asked. It's doing what I asked. So, yeah, you are luckier than an actual king. A perspective shift. If you woke up today in a bed of a mattress, in a room with walls that keep out wind and rain, congratulations. You are luckier than most of history's kings. I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure kings had walls to keep out wind and rain. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like that was kind of like one of the those were one of the basic requirements. Then they have built castles. Let's take a moment to compare the lives of royalty from centuries past to your everyday experience as a modern human being. The kings and queens of old had what seemed like unimaginable wealth, power, and privilege. They ruled nations, owned vast lands, and had armies at their command. Yet, if you have access to the most basic modern comforts, you live a better life than they ever did. What you doing? This thing just went away. Ah, yes, the joys, the joys of technology. Let's try that again. I'm gonna use one of the other models as well. Yeah, I completely got sidetracked right now because I was gonna go somewhere and then things bonked out, and now I'm trying to find where it is I was gonna go before it did bonk out. Kings and queens, vast armies. It's hot again today, unfortunately. Imagine stepping into a time machine and landing in a royal court centuries ago. The king and queen sat on gilded thrones, draped in sumptuous silks and surrounded by opulence. Yet, behind that glittering facade lay a life full of uncertainties, strict protocols, and dangers we'd find hard to fathom today. Consider this. Hey, Jovan. It's nice having you. Health and lifespan was a big one. Royals might have enjoyed sumptuous feasts, but they were also at the mercy of plagues, limited medical knowledge. They didn't understand that you had to drink clean water. They did not know what germs were. They just didn't, right? They were eating with silver, and silver is, something that helps as a disinfectant, but they did not understand. They did not understand how things work. And high infant mortality rates. A lot of children died. Today, with modern medicine, vaccines, and public health measures, it gives us a longer and healthier life, even if we still face our own challenges. Interestingly enough, I feel one of the challenges we face as a species right now is the fact that our food system is so addictive and enticing. This is a word, hyper palatable, that we are now, through opulence, reaching a point of bad health again, even though we have modern medicine and public health measures. Everyday everyday conveniences. The answer is pretty short. Think about luxury of modern plumbing, electricity, and instant global communication. While a medieval monarch might have marveled at a reliable water supply or the ability to send a message across continents in seconds, we often take these things for granted in our everyday. Having water to drink, someone doesn't have to go and get your drinking water with a little, what's your word? Bucket? Is it a bucket? Emmer? Guess you can't call it a bucket of water. Yeah. Dreamtooth and Blackface, YouTube. Hi to you too. Melt, you are hyper palatable. Love from Squeeziana Friendos. Squeeziana Friendos. Thank you. Hyper palatable. Yes. Love is true. Personal freedom and choices. That's also a big one. What is that? What is what? There's a bunch of things. Show the personal freedoms and choices. I'm gonna personally freedom and choice right now to continue reading. Royalty was bound by duty. And true tradition and often ruthless court politics. Their lives were a delicate balancing act of power and responsibility, with little room for personal choices. In contrast, our modern era, despite its imperfections, grant us the freedom to choose our paths, explore diverse ideas, and connect with people from every corners of the globe. Even though that is true, show that iPad. This is not an iPad. This is a Samsung tab. Onto some technology. Little slice of technological advance. And I got some stickers on it too. Some of me art. Got one there. That one is over the branding, of course. This one was gifted to me by a friend. I will add more. But for now, there you go. You got to see text-based textings. Personal freedom and choice. Yeah, that is true. Like if I was a prince, for example, maybe it would be great being a prince, having every one of my needs met, but I would not be able to do what I'm doing right now, right? None of the luxuries I've been afforded, even if it's just the luxury of getting to go for a walk when I decide to, I would have had if I was royalty in that way. I think it got a little bit stuck on the whole royalty thing, a little bit though. Access to information. While royals have access to the best scholars of their time, information was a scarce commodity. Today, the world's knowledge is at our fingertips, empowering us to learn, innovate, and even challenge the status quo. Kind of bad answer still. I like that hobby. Good day. I'm hyper palatable. Louisiana. 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 Love is true. So I liked that, prompt or little bit you gave me, but I felt we got a little bit too hyper fixated on the actual royalty part of it. Now let's bring ourselves down to almost like the commoner, because most of us, at least I am a commoner in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the global, distribution of wealth. What was the average commoner's life like? How much luckier are we than them? You know, can you give us a few beats, something that we can just like bring this reminder into our minds of how lucky we are? I like that. Hoopy. So much Lavins. It's thinking about it. Yes, reasons. No. Thinking tools. Right. These are thinking tools. They help us just kind of expand our thinking just a little bit, because all of us are capable of thinking about all of these things, but thinking about them so quickly, that's pretty powerful. Morning hustle, that's one thing. Let's start with the little early bits. Let's drop into the everyday life of a historical commoner, a life that was, by modern standards, a masterclass in surviving against the odds. And then give ourselves a friendly, awe-inspired pat on the backs. The morning hustle. Imagine waking up with the sun because there was no snooze button. This feels so lame. I don't know why, but today's output feels like ultra trash to me. Why am I so critical? Hmm. I think in my mind, I was hoping for more succinct information, right? Just like bits. I think the fact that I'm using one of the better models, it's trying to be good. It's trying to be better. And to me, it's like coming off as disingenuous. Good morning slash evening. Good day to you too, dear Louisiana. We're talking about how lucky we are. And we're comparing ourselves now to like the average commoner, in times past. And at least when it comes to wealth distribution, we are the commoners in times present. All right. So comparatively, seeing where we are right now. Imagine waking up because with the sun because there was no snooze button. Wow. Yes. I'm so lucky that I get to wake up with my cell phone alarm at 6 a.m. so I can drive to job. So lucky. Now I'm just throwing shade back at the prompts. Commoners often toiled from dawn until dusk, laboring in fields or workshops just to secure the basics. Today, with many of us still working hard, we at least have technology, social support systems, and automation easing the grind, giving us a bit more breathing room. I believe that's also going to happen more. Like, we're lucky, Dream Tooth, sending love into Lausanne too. We are very lucky to live in the age of robotics, to live in the age of AI, to live in the age of blockchain, to live in the age of synth bio, right? Being able to manipulate biology, to live in the age of algorithms, to live in the age of gene modification, right? All of these things bring alongside them a great deal of uncertainty. I'm more than willing to admit that part. But we are still lucky to be in that kind of, awakening. I'm so lucky that my right leg doesn't hurt. Bless your left leg too. May they walk you forward into this world. Don't ask me about the left one. I instantly said, bless your left leg too. Literally, that's the first thing I said, Loizana. That's trippy. I see Sonia Marisol says hello too. Hey, Sonia. How you doing? Do you feel lucky, Sonia? That's what we're discussing today. We're discussing how lucky we are. And it might not always feel that way, but as soon as you start identifying in which ways you're lucky, I think it's easier to realize that you're lucky. I've been having bad luck over the last year. It's already 15th of February. Yeah, I moved last year, the 3rd of February. And over the last year, right? Let's extend it to the 14th of February. No, it's still in that it's in that time frame. Yeah. Oh, actually, it's in that time frame. The last year, I've not had particularly good luck. Particularly, particularly bad luck, actually. But again, I refuse to believe that. Almost like I'm willfully ignorant that I might be cursed, right? To remind myself that actually, no, I'm not. I'm actually super lucky to live in the age of the global economy of melt. That sounds hardcore, Dreamtooth. The global economy of melt. I don't know if I'm capable of running the global economy, bruh. I don't think I'll have to. Thank goodness. I do not have the processing power to manage the global economy. Billions upon billions of transaction annually. Like, I don't think I can. What I would hope for is that the future economy is just distributed, right? That's my idea of luck as well. And again, we live in that age. We live in the age of decentralized ledgers, right? That didn't exist 15 years ago, 16 years ago. That just wasn't a thing. It just it didn't exist, right? And now we're lucky enough to live in the post distributed, decentralized forms of currency age, right? And that does enable the poorest person in the middle of Africa to create a wallet, to get potentially paid in a form of currency that cannot be taken away from them by their government. And then, in them having been paid with said currency, allows them to be a part of a network where if anybody else adds value to that network, they benefit. That's lucky, or that might be the luckiest thing ever. Sonia getting blessed by love-ins from our friends is. Yeah, I guess I feel lucky. You guess? Guess I feel lucky. How about we remind ourselves in which ways we're lucky? We just talked about the automation part of it, giving us some room to breathe. And now we can think about food and feasts. We talked a little bit about how we're almost now back in a place of being unlucky with how much access to food we have because of how bad it can be for us, right? Like we had to now almost reel ourselves back a little bit. Meals weren't guaranteed. They were hard-won rewards after a day of relentless work. Famine, poor harvests, and a lack of storage. The lack of storage is a big thing, right? Like imagine you have to gather food, but you do not have refrigeration. You do not have those things. You're like, what? That is actually the biggest thing. Just refrigeration. We're so lucky to have fridges. I want to distribute giga giggles. I'm getting some giga giggles, please. Perspective and relativity go hand in hand. Always remember how lucky I am just to feel okay. Right after a cold or flu bug, discomfort is loud. You're right. When you're like, your nose, for instance, is like super clogged and you can breathe just normal, just breathe okay again. How grateful you are, how lucky you feel to just be like, oh, open nasal cavities. I'm so lucky. You're right, Joe. Meals, uncertainty. Lack of storage meant uncertainty at every meal. Now, we rarely worry about food. and putting it on the table. With supermarkets, global trade, and better agricultural practices ensuring a constant supply, even if we still occasionally overindulge. Human beings do like overindulging. Uh, Semaglutide wants to change that, but who knows how that's gonna go, right? That's like a they want to put 6-year-olds on semaglutide. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, bro. But again, if people are eating less fast food, that's gonna be better, right? Maybe there'll be some sort of balance reached, right? The bad that semaglutide can bring will still be better than the bad that obesity brings. Who knows? The fact that, you know, it would feel unlucky. For instance, some people are born with higher levels of ghrelin, which means they're more hungry over and over again, which means they're more likely to become obese, right? And in that way, they were unlucky to have that high ghrelin production. Waarom het is in diesem kanaal hapschalig? Waarom het is in diesem kanaal hapschalig? So ek is eintlik Afrikaans, Sonja, maar ek is nie Duits nie. So Duits is my bietjie moeilik om te lees. Waarom? I know the first word means why, like why? Why did you? And then I don't know the rest. In diesem kanaal hapschalig. This maybe I'll ask. I don't want to ask this one. I'll ask one of my other models. Translate. The tech language. I'm pretty sure that's German. Waarom? Waarom het is een decem kanaal haupt slecht. What is this channel mainly about? Waarom het is in this kanaal hapsgelicht? Okay, now I get it. I'm still kind of lost on the waarom. Waarom is like why, kind of, in my language. What is this channel about? It's an awesome question, Sonia. I believe this channel is about conscious evolution, right? And I believe it from this perspective of that's what I'm showing up for. I believe that most of our evolution as human beings have already happened, right? It's pretty hard for me to change this form. I can exercise and I can give myself more muscles. I can make sure my skin is taken care of. I can shave my beard. I can cut my hair. I can dress myself creative and artistically. But when it comes to what I am, I'm this, as it is. And what I want to become, I can only become by consciousness. Right? I have to be consciously aware of my environment. I have to be consciously aware of my choices. And if I am, then in this consciousness, I can evolve. And that's what we try and do with this stream. That every single day we show up, we acknowledge that we can consciously evolve, that this thing that we are, this consciousness, has this capacity to expand. And I believe the way in which we expand is in considering. So we consider things. And today's thing we're considering is how lucky we are, right? And giving ourselves some information, some reminders about how lucky we are. And then hopefully, if we're lucky, we might go into our days holding on to these good feelings and we can be better. Du kan eens Dutch? Wow. Afrikaans. Eintlik Afrikaans. Nie regtig Dutch nie. Afrikaans. Deutsch. That's Dutch. So that's technically German. Du kan nicht. De kan niet Dutch. Uh, ja, maar ik kan wel Afrikaans praten. En hulle is naby genoeg. Naby genoeg om nie naby genoeg te wees nie. Uh, but I would be able to talk to someone who is from the Netherlands, for example. It's nice having you here, Sonia. Bless you, friend. Bless you. We're lucky, and we're going to continue considering how lucky we are. We talked about food and feasts, health and healing. We now live in an age, I think it's something like 60%. Let's find out, actually. What percentage of surgeries is already being done through those microscopic, or not microscopic, those small holes, those minimally invasive incisions, and robots? I'm curious what the number is right now, and then we can project into the future of what it will become. I think it might be like already above 50%. Okay, no, I'm wrong. 30 to 40%, it seems. No, wait a second. I'm still extracting data. I was right. I was right. 50 to 60% of the minimally invasive. Whoa. Okay, it's a bit tricky to pin down the exact number because of adoption of minimally invasive and robotic techniques varies by procedure and region. However, here's a rough snapshot. Minimally invasive surgery overall. In many developed healthcare systems, about 50% of surgeries are now performed using minimally invasive techniques. Think small incision, laparoscopy tools, and endoscopic methods. This trend is especially evident in procedures like colonoscopies, appendectomies. My brain is getting melted by these words. And many gynecological. Why can't I read these freaking medical words? Because I don't use them. I never use them. Robotic assisted surgery. So 10 to 15% is being done by robots. And looking into the future, they predict 70 to 80% MIS, minimally invasive, and 30% or more with robotics. Right? So another way in which we're lucky to live in the age where we'll have the luxury of robots helping our bodies. Laparoscopy? Laparoscopy? Did I read it incorrectly? Laparoscopic tools. Laparoscopic tools. Yeah, I think laparoscopic tools are those things that go inside your body, like long arms. And then instead of having to like put hands inside your body, I'm sorry, to get what's in there, you put these small little fingies in, and then they have little climpies on the edges of them. I think so. Can you tell me what laparoscopic tools are? I'm mainly on YouTube just for paranormal videos, but this is very interesting. Sonia, what a change of pace. I mean, this is live right now, right? So you get to kind of like see a slice of someone's reality. Laparoscopic tools are specialized instruments used in minimally invasive surgeries, also known as laparoscopy, to perform operations through small incisions instead of one large opening. And here are some key components. The laparoscope, a long, thin tube equipped with a light and a camera that transmits high-definition images to a monitor, allowing the surgeon to see inside the body without needing to open it up fully. Then there are trocars and cannulas. These are the ports inserted through the small incision, creating channels through which the laparoscope and other instruments are introduced. And then there are the surgical instruments. These include graspers and scissors and dissectors and needle holders, and they're designed to perform tasks like cutting tissue, grasping organs, or suturing, although all through minimal access. And then energy devices, instruments like electro cautery tools or harmonic scalpels help in cutting tissue and sealing blood vessels, reducing bleeding and enhancing precision. Living in the world of Robot surgeons. No, I said that before you did. I was answering your question. Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry. We're back again. Bless you again, Sonia. I'm happy to have you here, friend. In consideration. Yeah. Next one is learning. I don't think I read that piece, but medical care for the common folk in the past was rudimentary at best. A simple infection was life threatening, and many ailments went untreated. Fast forward to today, where modern medicine, sanitation, and a better understanding of health helps us live longer, healthier lives, turning everyday aches into manageable challenges. Is Zano here too? Hey, Zana. It's nice having you. I had a few laparoscopic surgeries, including gallbladder removal and knee surgery. That's awesome. Not that you had surgeries, but that you already have access to that technology, that you got to have those experiences, that you had help, right? That you were lucky enough to live in the age where you can get help like that. Sister dancing in the background. I love her. Menticeras Lithiosa Zano. Bless your friend. We're talking about how lucky we are today. Thinking about you and your little one growing alongside here with us. The next one is learning and living. Education was a luxury, is still a luxury technically. Many commoners were kept in the loop of tradition and local lore, with little access to broader world knowledge. Contrast that with our era, where endless information is at our fingertips, countless learning opportunities, and the ability to explore ideas that our ancestors could scarcely imagine. The fact that I am literally conversing with a language model while having this discussion, right? Like that alone, if I had to try and explain to a commoner in the future, me, a person, can for the amount of value uh, you could eat in like a day, like ChatGPT, and I don't technically have to pay for it to use it, but I have because I was using it for work. It's $20, right? $20 will feed you in South Africa for 2 days, essentially. So for the food of 2 days, I have the entire knowledge of humanity that can talk to me at my fingertips, right? Imagine that. Then I'm telling a commoner that don't eat 2 days, and then you get like a super genius in your pocket. And they'll be like, sign me up. Who needs to eat for 2 days anyway? I'll eat every other day. Learning opportunities, and then freedom of expression. While commoners were bound by rigid expectations of their communities, often with little say in their own lives, today, despite our own modern pressures, we enjoy freedoms of thought, expression, and choice that allow us to shape our destiny in ways that the past couldn't have dreamed of. These beats remind us that while our ancestors faced relentless challenges, we live in an age of convenience, choice, and opportunity. Sure, life isn't perfect, and we each have our struggles, but when we zoom out, we're living in a time of profound luck and possibility. That's so true. But Nano, how's you when you're little in the making? That's true. I'm lucky to be born in the time I was. Any earlier, I would be at risk of being lobotomized, legitimately. Literally, just like 40 years earlier. The fact that we were lobotomizing people just like 40 years ago. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that. When was the last time we were lobotomizing people? And if you don't know what lobotomizing is, good. Lucky you. You haven't gone down the rabbit holes of what we used to do. When someone was, in other words, in the medical profession's word, crazy. Right? If you were unruly, if you were ADHD, if you were overexcited, they just put a spike in your brain, up from underneath your eye, spike in your brain, and then it like switches you off, essentially. Makes you very close to the equivalent of brain dead. The 1940s to early 1960s. That's not a long time ago, yo. Holy shit. That's not a long time. I'm starting to feel them move. So much love. When I feel happy or eat sugar, they do a little dance. Does it feel like bubbles? Or are you past that stage? So many fractals. Growing an entity inside of your body. Can't even imagine. Oh my goodness. That's not long ago. That's not long ago. That was like when my grandma was like walking the earth and they were lobotomizing people. Maybe still bubbly. Maybe my baby would dance when I ate gulab jamun on pancakes with maple syrup. I don't know what gulab jamun is, but I would dance if I was a baby and I had some of that too. Was this something I forgot to ask? Freedoms? Yeah. Do I want to think about how lucky I am in different ways? I want us to dive a little bit deeper into the technological attachment. One of the things that I kind of started my whole conversation with is acknowledging how lucky we are to live in the age of computers, to live in the age of robotics, to live in the age of artificial intelligence, to live in the age of synthetic biology, to live in the age of gene editing and CRISPR technology, to live in the age of blockchain, to live in the age of I feel like there's one I'm missing, an important one. The internet. Might have said it before. We're super lucky to have all of these things accessible to us. And I believe that if we really acknowledge how lucky we are, it's almost like realizing how we can use these tools. They are a pair. They are a pair. Maybe with the size of them right now? Pair sized? I don't know how to interpret that information. The user seems to be reflecting on how to formulate that we are living in an age of such rapid technological advancements. Probably more. User wants to dive deep into how lucky we are in the lives in the age of groundbreaking technology. I need to respond with how these tools shape our lives and our responsibility to use them wisely. Like, acknowledge that we're super lucky. You're absolutely right, it says. We are living in a truly golden age of technology. Zano, so I'm sure your belly bump isn't keeping any secrets at this point. Hey, is it still a secret being kept, Zano? Maybe that's also another thing to ask. Do you do you mind if people know whether or not you are with child when it comes to your world? Right. My mind, if I was pregnant, everybody would know. I would tell everybody. uh, tell people twice. You're right. We're living in a golden age of technology. Consider this. A century ago, many of the wonders we now take for granted were barely the stuff of dreams or the pages of science fiction. Today, our tools not only transform how we live, but also empowers us to shape our future. Here's a snapshot of our current landscape: computers and the internet, the foundation of our digital era. I'm a little chub, so it just looks like fat. But I can tell I get to hear the heartbeat next Friday. I'm telling people now. Great. That's awesome, Zana. This is the furthest you've been along as well, right? I'm so happy for you, friend. This is a this is a big deal. We're looking forward to celebrating with you as we continue. Computers and the internet, the foundation of our digital era. The internet isn't just a network, it's a vibrant ecosystem that connects billions, accelerates learning, and fuels innovation across every sector. Robotics and AI. These technologies are revolutionizing industries from surgical robots that perform delicate procedures to AI systems that assist with everything from climate modeling to personalized healthcare. Imagine having a tireless assistant that never sleeps. Well, almost. Why is it saying that? Why is it saying, well, almost? It didn't have to say, well, almost. Now I'm concerned. When does the AI sleep? Synthetic biology and gene editing. Once confined to the realm of speculative fiction, these tools are now rewriting the rulebook on medicine and agriculture. We're talking about the potential to cure genetic diseases, engineer sustainable crops, and perhaps even extend human longevity. Perhaps. Yeah, 15 weeks. Anna, I'm so grateful for you to let us be a part of this too. Such preciousness. Thinking about Sam right now as well, sending her blessings of her baby. Love is true. Living in the age where we are going to extend human longevity through the editing of our genomes, eradicate genetic diseases, upgrade ourselves with cybernetics, enable ourselves with literal superintelligence. And then the next step is like, how do we let's call it remember. How do we remember the value we created as super entities, right? As biological super anomalies, as interconnected, computer beings. How do you store that value? And that is blockchain. While many associate it solely with cryptocurrency, blockchain is reshaping how we think about security, transparency, and trust in digital interactions. It's a new way to verify and record the exchange of information without relying on central authorities. Right? Imagine the luck if you had to explain to a commoner that in the future there is going to be a technology that makes it so that you do not have to have the king's permission for anything. Imagine that. He would lose his mind. He'd be like, what do you mean there's going to be technology that means I won't have to get permission from the king? The king is the say on everything. The king decides whether or not I get to leave. The king decides whether or not I have land. The king decides whether or not I get taxed more this month. What do you mean the king doesn't get to decide? It's like, well, that's what I'm telling you, bro. The future is us. No central authorities. Zano, find a good Italian restaurant and have some gulab jamun, see what happens. Bless. Feeding the little ones the bestest foods. Okay. And then there's the realm you hinted at, but didn't name explicitly. One might argue that quantum computing, that is the one I missed. Synth bio, AI, robotics, and quantum computing. I did miss that one. That's a big fucking deal. Holy shit. And then blockchain, of course, too. But quantum computing. You're like, what? Why is quantum computing a big deal? In essence, quantum computing is a big deal because it allows us to think the way we were supposed to with our computers, right? Right now, we think in chains of logic, right? And if you do not know the chain of logic or can reason afterwards why it is the way it is, right? The logic kind of falls apart when things aren't purely always just logical, right? It's not logical, at least to me, that it takes 8 minutes for sunlight to reach me. It's understandable, right? Because we understand the speed of light and we can estimate the distances between our star and our planet. So I can understand it. But if I had to look at the sun as a normal commoner, I won't suddenly surmise, oh, yes, I can feel this sunlight is 8 minutes old. Yeah. 8 minute old sunlight tastes good. Right? Right? And quantum computing is kind of that extra layer. Instead of having to try and follow a chain of reasoning, like, oh yeah, the sun is this far away from the planet, and light travels at this speed, and that means that manana manana. You can have those systems just aware, right? Be a part of its reasoning model, and it can understand the implications of it. It can ask itself 1,000 different questions about the same thing, and then find within that question value, find within that question a pattern that it can extract. Mm, I'm not a huge fan of rose syrup. I've had it before though. I like the small orange funnel cake looking things. Those are dope. I don't think we have those in South Africa. Yeah, probably not. Quantum computing is the next frontier. A technology that could fundamentally redefine what is computationally possible. Yeah. Turning today's unsolvable problems into tomorrow's routine tasks. The magic really lies in the conversions of these tools. They're not just standalone marvels. They're part of a larger, interconnected ecosystem that amplifies human creativity and problem solving capabilities. When we recognize how extraordinary it is to have such a toolbox at our disposal, it naturally sparks a sense of gratitude and an invitation to harness these tools for good. Yeah. The future is here, friends. It's right here. Here it is. We're in the future. It's just not equally distributed just yet. Everybody just doesn't have the same access to the future that they're supposed to. And we're going to change that slowly but surely. We're lucky enough to be in the position to be able to change that. So when you pause to think about it, each time you log in, swipe on a smartphone, or marvel at a medical breakthrough, you're experiencing a slice of the future that our ancestor could only have imagined. And as we continue to innovate, the sense of luck can transform into a drive to use these gifts wisely, fostering progress, healing, and a more connected world. I really like this conversation we had today. I sometimes feel pretty unlucky. I've had experiences that some might deem not very lucky. And today's stream, or the conversation we've been having, the stream of thought, was very much related to reminding myself that no matter what gets taken from me, what I lose, what I think is bad in my world, if I just take a step back, I realize that I'm lucky beyond comparison. Those are dope. This vertical stream is coming to an end real soon. Reasoning. Yes. I'm really glad you found our conversation uplifting. It says, yeah, life can sometimes feel unfair when luck is on our side. I'm glad our conversation resonated with you. It's completely natural to feel unlucky at times, especially when life throws curveballs. Yet stepping back and appreciating even the smallest blessings can remind us just how much we have. Each setback carries a lesson or an unexpected opportunity, and every challenging moment is a part of the unique tapestry that makes you who you are. Remember, feeling unlucky doesn't erase the fact that you're living in a time of incredible opportunity and progress. Every day, from the technology that connects us to the communities that supports us, there's a quiet abundance in life, even if it's not always obvious in the moment. Keep leaning into these reflections. They're powerful. They remind you that in the grand scheme of things, you're lucky beyond measure, even if it sometimes feels otherwise. And know that your journey, with all its ups and downs, is a vital part of the bigger picture. It's true. We are all a vital part of the bigger picture. How lucky. How lucky are we to be a part of the bigger picture? I feel lucky for having you friends join me here today. It's always a pleasure. I love you, friends. And I'll see you again for the next one, a moment from now, when we do it horizontally. I appreciate ye. Send your friends lovins, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.